Are you like most sales and other professionals who want to grow their wealth faster than what they are currently doing through their company 401k, even with that company match, the stock market, or just plain saving money? Would you sleep better at night if you had the financial freedom to be job optional in just 3 to 5 years through investing in real assets? Maybe you don't want to stop working, but wouldn't it be cool if you could retire a decade earlier than most and do the traveling you and your family have planned for years while you're still young and can enjoy it? Let's face it, most busy professionals don't have the time or desire to take on more work outside of their W-2 to grow their wealth. On The Wealth Flow, each week we share the stories, the investments, and take a deep dive into the various asset classes that can deliver that accelerated growth to your portfolio passively. That's right, no extra work for you. Instead, we'll put your money to work. Learn what the 95% aren't talking about and join the top 5% of earners today on The Wealth Flow.
All right, welcome to The Wealth Flow. My guest today is Isaiah Colton. Isaiah is an entrepreneur, a business coach who got his start in real estate after starting a successful brokerage. He and his partner started a referral program that did really well, so well, in fact, that their company was listed as number 308 on the fastest growing companies in the U.S. on the Inc. 500 list. After that, Isaiah switched gears. He turned his company into a digital marketing and consulting business that focuses on helping realtors, loan officers, small business owners grow and scale their business to 7 and 8 figures. And now Isaiah spends most of his time coaching and buying or partnering with businesses that complement his vision, helping real estate teams and small businesses grow. He is also a proud husband and father with a passion to give back to his local community and help other people reach their goals in life and in business. So, Isaiah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So excited to be on this podcast. I got a chance to kind of go through and listen to some of the information you're delivering, and it's lights out, just awesome. So
awesome. Love to hear that. All right, great. Well, I typically will start with your background and kind of where you grew up and what eventually led you into real estate brokerage. And then I know your career kind of moved to different aspects of real estate and business and entrepreneurship. And so want to get into all of it, but let's start at the beginning.
Yeah. So I grew up in a small town, Attica, New York. It's more farms and cows than probably houses and people. So is where I came from. It's best known for the prison. It's actually, I think, the first or second largest maximum security prison in the country. So that's like what it's famous what it's famous for. So I grew up in an interesting family because my grandfather was a really hard worker. And I learned my work ethic from the family, but I also learned a couple other things along the way. I've learned what not to do because I saw he kept doing kind of the same thing. So other farmers, they were innovative. They would adopt technology. They were doing different things to beat the market, so to speak. And my grandfather actually eventually went out of business and had to sell his farm off to somebody else. And I learned a lot of things, but I also, early on, I learned that the importance of personal growth and also staying on the cutting edge. And so I was in college and I was originally going to go to school for physical education. I realized I didn't want to, nothing against being a gym teacher. I just did not want to be a gym teacher because I didn't think it was going to meet my financial goals and find it fulfilling. And so I actually went online. I saw this YouTube video about persuasion and the psychology of persuasion, and it caught my interest, and it led me to a career in sales. And at first I was, just like all things we do, is pretty bad at it. But I remember I got my first sale, and I was nervous about it because it's the first time I took money from anybody. And there was like it was a really interesting thing because as excited as I was, I'm like, I really wanted to make sure it worked for them because I'm like, oh my gosh, they gave me their hard-earned money.
Yeah.
And then I got a call a couple weeks later, and they were just elated, and they said thank you. And it was like it all clicked in my mind that I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is what I want to do in my life. Is I want to be in the service industry of some kind, because I'm like, what an unbelievable way to make money, where you can provide you can have an unlimited income opportunity essentially, and you can provide a service that can benefit somebody at the same time. And I'm like, so I was hooked from like then on. I was 23 years old then. And I got really good at sales and building teams. I actually ended up, instead of pursuing any sort of career with my college education, I just got into a full-time inside sales position. I grew teams, and then I never made less than six figures from the time I was 24 years old with that skill set.
Nice.
And then I started leveling up, and I started developing inside sales operations for other businesses. And so I learned a lot about other different businesses, and I started making really good money kind of as a consultant doing that. And I started reinvesting my extra income into real estate. And I got my real estate career cut on short sales. So this is back in 2009 when short sales were like, it was a crazy world then, as we, for anyone that went through 2008, 2009, and the dropout in real estate that happened across the country, it was wild. And so I learned a ton, but I got really good with the skill set of generating leads in a specific target market. And realtors saw that I got good at that craft. And so I would give a lot of my leads to realtors, and I developed a lot of good relationships. And then I got a call from a realtor, and he goes, "Dude, you should leave your job and just let's go build a brokerage together." I'm like, and I just had a baby, and I'm like, my wife and I did, and I'm making six figures doing what I'm doing, and I'm like, dude, like this is like the worst timing ever. But he's like, no, like seriously, like with your skill sets, my skill sets, like, you can bring your inside sales operation into the brokerage, like your skill set of doing that. We can grow a brokerage together. And so after like he just would not let it go. And finally I'm like, all right, fine. Let's do it. My wife gave me 6 months. So she's like, look, you could do this thing for 6 months, but like, if it's not working out, I just ask that you go back and do something else. And so after the first 3 months, you can imagine with that kind of timeline, right? To try to pull something off with that kind of timeline. So I had a massive sense of urgency, because like, I didn't want egg on my face, right? Because sometimes like we make decisions and we do things, but for me, it's not so much I'm afraid of failure, but sometimes psychologically I'm like, I don't want to see other people see me fail. Like we all kind of have that. That was like,
exactly. Yeah.
That was, you get what I mean? Like, it's like that sometimes is the bigger fear, is like, well, what are other people going to think if I fail? Right. So I'm like, I went at it, and it was a little bit hairy. We got to that 5-6 month mark, and we were about to break even in our real estate brokerage, because we were putting a lot of money in, and I was hiring inside salespeople to generate leads for our agents within the brokerage. But as we started getting some traction, and I'm like, honey, look what we did in this short period of time. And I'm like, if we just sell out, like, what if we just downgraded our lifestyle just for 2 or 3 years? Because I had an opportunity to go raise some capital. I didn't want to, because we were so close to cash flow positive. So I had a bunch of rental properties then. Might not have been, looking back on it, I wouldn't have sold the rental properties. I would have found another way to do it, but that was my ignorance, actually. Right. Because I was a new investor. I was probably 2 or 3 years into rentals, and I was experiencing more pain with them at that point than I was like, positive outcomes with my portfolio. Yeah. And so if I would have done that part all over again, considering this is obviously a podcast where a lot of our listeners are investors here, I think it would have held those properties, and I would have found any other way to do it. It was probably one of the biggest financial mistakes I made. But the positive side of that story is, so we moved into a rental, and we rented out our beautiful home. Had a beautiful home in a very nice suburb. My wife went along with all of this, by the way, which is wild.
Yeah, that is wild. That would be the difficult part on my end.
Yeah. And so we just literally took, for the next year, we took all of the money that we got from selling everything off and the money we're getting. We lived as low of a lifestyle as we possibly could. And we put all of the money back into this business model. And we launched not only our brokerage, but a referral program, because we had so many leads coming in. Our agents handle them all, so we'd refer them out. And the thing just blew up. We ended up doing 3 years from that point. We did $15 million cash collected. 3 years from that point, and that's when we hit the Inc. 500. And I think I was 29 years old, and I was officially became a millionaire at 29, 30 years old. And my wife made me take her on the most expensive Viking cruise ever for our 10-year anniversary. As repayment, so for making the sacrifice.
Good for her. Good for her.
Yeah, she's awesome. I couldn't have done it without her support. You've probably heard this. Other people have probably heard this, but it's so true. If you don't have a good partner in life, and you're an entrepreneur, and they're not supportive, it could be hell on earth, because we all go through stuff. So that's kind of my story, and then from there, I had this vision. I always wanted to be a coach and consultant. And so I just proactively documented my whole journey and everything that I was learning. And so I developed what I call now the Sales Acceleration Blueprint. And what it does is it helps small business owners go from 0 to 10 million is really the target for it. Or somebody that's hovering around like anywhere under 1 million and they're trying to scale to 10 million. That's who the blueprint's designed for, and it walks them through every single important part of their business and the steps that they need to take. It's not designed to be a book to read. It's designed to be a playbook. It's designed to say, if you're at this phase of your business, go do this. If you're at this phase of your business, do this. Don't do this. This is what I did. Don't do this. Right? So it's like got warnings in it and stuff like that, and I tell my horror stories and the good stories and all that. And so now fast forward today, I built a digital marketing and artificial intelligence company. So we have our digital marketing and consulting company. We install AI into every corner of a small business, help them reduce their payroll, become more efficient, generate more leads faster. And usually, most businesses that we work with, they'll not only see an increase in productivity by 20-30% within the first 3 to 6 months, but they'll also be doing it for less money, and they'll be working less hours too. So it's a very, very, I feel very privileged to be where we're at right now, because we're helping people go through a transformation they don't even realize is possible. Like, a lot of people are talking about AI, but nobody actually has a blueprint to teach people how to actually install it systematically in their business. So I feel very privileged that we're going to be able to impact hundreds of thousands of businesses over the next 3 to 5 years. And so that's my main focus right now. It's what I'm hyper focused on.
Yeah, that's interesting for sure. Well, one question, maybe if we can go maybe back to what you did, differently to kind of launch that brokerage successfully. As somebody who's a real estate broker, and I was in business during that time. It was a rough time for me, but I was in business during that time.
It was rough for a lot of people, right? So I officially started the brokerage, just from a timeline standpoint, around 2014 was when we officially launched the brokerage. Okay. Yeah. But
so what type of lead generation obviously became something super important for you, and it allowed you to be able to refer out that business, which obviously was very lucrative. But what were you doing to generate? You mentioned having folks. Were they cold calling? Were you doing any direct mail? Were you doing a combination of that? Search engine optimization? What was it that you did?
Great question. So at first, I was doing lead generation all the wrong way, and I signed up to a whole bunch of companies that generated leads, and we were just like kind of in the mode, like, let's figure out how we want to bring in business. So we signed up to the most popular lead generation companies. And the problem with that strategy is they all have a little bit of a different approaches of how the leads generated. And so if you don't have the right script dialogue, the right follow-up systems, the right messaging, and your agents aren't taught actually how to work the leads properly, you can lose your shirt. And essentially that's what was happening to us is in the beginning. And then I stepped back and I'm like, all right, Isaiah, coach yourself for a second, because this, obviously this is not working. And so the biggest shift that we made that was the game changer for us is we had a really hard conversation with ourselves, and we developed our ICP, or ideal client profile.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been to this training by Dan Kennedy back then that talked about the power of tying your story into your ideal client profile and attracting your ideal client profiles through your story. And so I had been thinking about why I wanted to do this and like some of the reasons why I was passionate. And I remember my first investment property that I ever got, this guy was not experienced with working with investors. You could tell he's more of a residential focused agent. And I just had the worst experience that I think that anybody could have ever had. And that motivated me to want to actually take this project on when I was approached, because I was like, maybe I could help figure out why my experience is so miserable. And so what I did was I looked at what other lead sources probably had miserable experiences or tough experiences in the for sale by owner and expired market. Are high candidates for not wanting to use an agent, not all the time, but largely because of sometimes they've had bad experiences, or they can't justify paying the commissions because of whatever belief systems that they had in their mind. And I could relate to that in my initial experience. So the big change for us is we got really good at finding all of the pain points and tapping into the market of people that really could not justify paying the commission and or had a bad experience before in the past, helping them work through those problems, and then still getting them most of the time to pay a full commission to us, walking them through that journey. So how we did that was through a combination of things. It was through outbound calling.
Yeah.
It was through taking raw data, and then doing retargeting ads through Facebook. Very few people were doing this at that point. And we kind of had a multi-channel approach to reach our target market. And because we were so good at speaking to their pain points and tying our story into it, say, hey, look, the reason why we're doing this is because one of the owners had an experience similar to you. They couldn't understand it, but here's the reasons why this is happening to you. And then so we tied that into the story. And so that story carried with us the whole journey, and every person told the story in our company. We told the story in our interview process. We told the story when we were doing agent attraction. We told the story when we were talking to our clients. And I would say that was one of the biggest. It was finding the niche and then just committing to dominating the niche. And I think in 3 years, we did 3,500 transactions in that niche alone.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So might be a long-winded answer, but that was the big domino.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think being able to identify those pain points, and then, being able to incorporate it into a message that everybody on the team knew, it really it's kind of like a vivid vision for your company. It's, here's why we can help. And here's, what other people have found that have been in similar situations, and we've got a resolution for you. So that's great.
Yeah. And we do the same formula for every company that we either partner with, buy, or launch. We kind of follow the same formula. It starts with that. We come up with a story, we craft a story. It's like it's a proven formula. People buy into it because, the old saying goes, stories sell, facts tell. So.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe throughout the coaching that you've done with, folks in the mortgage industry, realtors, small businesses, what are some things that you typically see? I imagine if you're coaching a lot of different clientele, you're going to have some parallels, you're going to have some similarities between various folks that are their pain points, the things that they're struggling with. But let's talk maybe a little bit about some of those.
Yeah, there's definitely patterns. The biggest one is they're not doing anything different. They get excited about, or they're doing, they're in their niche for a reason, or they're doing what they're doing for a reason. But because they're, it's a very competitive market, and it's, basically there's 100 other people they could choose, or sometimes in some markets, thousands of other people that they could choose. The number one problem I see is they don't do anything. They don't craft a unique offer. They don't spend, and they never been taught to. So it's not even their fault, but so that's the first thing I do in our when we're working with my high level VIP coaching clients is we spend a lot of time crafting a unique offer. And a lot of people don't think there's anything unique about what they're doing, but it's how you package it. So for example, I just use real estate for an example. Because obviously there's a million real estate agents, right? So
for sure.
So the first thing that we do is we say, okay, who do you want to reach out to? All right. And then so what we do is we have an AI tool that I programmed for real estate. So they go to my dashboard and they ask it, here's my niche. Please give me all of the pain points, the main pain points that my niche goes through. And it lists them all out. And we ask it to give at least 100 pain points. And so for a homeowner, we don't think of all the pain points, but there's a lot, moving, packing, you can getting the house ready for sale. There's so many pain points that a homeowner goes through when they're going to sell their house. And we try to get every single little tiny pain point down. And that's the starting point. And then what we do is we craft an offer and we come up with vendor partners and a way to package the offer at different scales of commission. The middle one being 6%, the high one being 7 to 10%, depending on the market. Low one being 5%, which we make the low one so unattractive they don't want to do it. And we make the middle one the most attractive. And so what ends, and where you can throw in, you can take some of the stuff from the one at 7 to 10%, you can throw those in as signing bonuses. And so what it does is it lays out all of the pain points and solves the problem. Their packages solve the majority of the problems. So now you're not competing with the person that's just saying, oh, I can put you up on the MLS. Here's my marketing plan. Blah, blah, blah. I have an awesome personality and I'm the best negotiator. I take awesome photos. That's essentially the pitch, right? So we work a lot on making sure they provide unique value along the way. And so one client, they just launched their VIP home seller program. And essentially, if they don't want to deal with if they want to get their staging done, if they want somebody to come in to fix up their home, they can do it. And they negotiate relationships with these vendors to not have to pay anything until after closing.
Yeah.
And just pay it out of the proceeds. And he's crushing, he's in the top 1% listing agent in his market. And he owes largely because he's closing more deals. Or he's getting more contracts because he's just got a unique offer. So that's a big one.
Yeah, that's great. I like that one. I know, even when I was active as an agent, they had companies that would, market to us that did maybe flooring. It was usually something simple like that. Hey, we can do flooring, but we don't get paid till closing. And, to be able to do that, you think about trying to move something, especially on the market now, maybe not the market, this time last year, but in the market now where things are a little bit more competitive, you really want to be able to stand out. somebody might have to put a little bit of money into the house to, make it, presentable to potential buyers. And so I think that's a great tool to be able to have. I love that you package it all together too.
Yeah. The next one I would say is just having a formal, like an actual marketing plan, like a modern day marketing plan that they're executing on. And I would, it's actually a marketing and sales plan that they're executing on consistently. So that's the next big one. And so that's why a lot of times revenue goes up and down and deals go up and down, is there's just a lack of consistency with revenue generating activities and being able to do it in a modern way and being able to use AI and technology to help them. And so that's the other big point, is because the average client in our space is 50 years or older, so they didn't grow up using a lot of technology in some ways.
Right.
And so what we do is we install an AI marketing plan into their business with them. So that looks like if they're doing Facebook ads, the AI will take over the Facebook ads. We program their own AI assistant to act like their co-CEO.
Okay.
So we program the AI to go into their database and be able to have conversations through text and through actually voice. We just launched the voice. It can actually have voice conversations with leads in their database. And so we add layers like that, and it's been a game changer. We have some reports of 30% increases in productivity.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Because now what the agents, and this is not just agents, for small business owners, insurance, mortgage, home services. Now they're able to focus more of their time working with the warm and hot leads that are interacting with the technology. They're able to ask their AI questions, almost like having a coach right there. So they're able to make smarter decisions, and they're able to work on warmer leads instead of having to chase down people they don't even know if they're in when the leads come in. And so it's been giving them a competitive advantage, and it's really, really exciting to see. So the marketing
that's
plan
neat.
is the big pain point. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm experiencing that on Facebook Marketplace myself. I have, we really have a focus in the mobile home park space.
Oh, nice.
And we've got several homes that are, coming online that we're looking for potential renters, possibly potential buyers for those homes.
Yeah.
So we're utilizing Facebook Marketplace. But the last ad that I put in, before it ran maybe 1 or 2 days, we were already up to 200 and something people. And, it's all the same question, right? It's like, is it still interested? Is it still available?
Yeah.
And, trying to go through and select each one of them and do it. I finally figured out how to respond to just, the most, a block of them at a time. But it's amazing because not all of them, I mean, there's no way there's that many folks interested in that house, but so many people respond somehow to the ad that it really kind of it muddies the water a lot to be able to sift through all that and find the right people. So creating something like that seems like it would be extremely helpful.
Oh, so. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many little tools that people just aren't aware of, like if you get a lot of messages in your inbox, if on Facebook, or if people are messaging you a lot, you can install AI to answer basic questions and then trigger somebody to step in for you. So there's a lot of little cool things that are just time suckers or can cause a client experience issue. And so instead of being at 9:00 at night, not paying attention to your kid, responded to DMs on your Facebook.
Right, exactly.
You can actually feel like you can focus on your kids, stuff like that. So,
yeah, that's so what else? So when you say marketing and putting together a marketing plan, are we talking a marketing plan to find sellers? Are we talking about a marketing plan to sell the homes? Or maybe it's a combination of both of those?
Yeah, all the above. All the above. Usually,
okay.
like so marketing plan. So you start out with lead generation. So there's really 8 core ways to generate leads. So we break down what ones fit their skill sets, resources, and we try to develop a plan around those. So you have your, reaching out to your warm market. You have, organic social media. You have paid traffic, cold outreach through the phone or email or whatever you're doing, your form of cold outreach. And you have a running, events. And we kind of work through all of the core ones. And we say, what ones are you committed to that fit your resources, fit your time? You're going to do it. Resources, your skill sets, and you're going to commit to it. And then we develop the marketing plan around that. And then we time block it out, and we say, okay, people, process, and tools. Who's going to do this? What's the best practices you're going to follow to get it done? And what tools are you going to put in place to make it easier for whoever's doing this? And then, are you doing it? Who's doing it? When is it going to get done? Where is it in the calendar? Some of it's simple stuff, but like just most small businesses, they just never been taught how to even properly time block. And so, but once it happens and they see it work, they're just blown away at seeing how well the marketing plan works. So we start off with lead generation, and then we move to lead conversion. So like, okay, great. Now the leads are coming in. You're building your brand. Leads are coming into your CRM. Now who's going to convert these leads? Are you doing it? Are you going to hire somebody to do it? Because I see in your inbox right now, you have 7 interested people and nobody's following up with them. Right. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm talking about. So who's going to do this? Are you going to have AI do it? Are you going to do it? Are you going to hire somebody to do it? Because we're in the contact sports, people, right? So like, we're in a contact sport. If you're not making contact, you're not making money. So
for sure. And the longer they sit there, right? I mean, I'm with my W-2, I've got a sales team of 40 sales associates and another 10 sales managers. And yet, even towards the end of the month, if we're not where we need to be, I'm looking at leads and their sales force, and I'm seeing, my gosh, guys, we've got all this stuff that's just sitting there.
What's going on?
And there's the missing board volume that we need.
Yeah,
right here.
Like it seems like we could hit this goal, right? If we just call those leads, so you know exactly what I'm talking about then. So, so we really try to hone in on that lead conversion process and systematize it and put in religious like standards in that lead conversion process, that it's not optional. Mm-hmm. This is the standard operating procedure. What we mean by standard, a standard is something that you commit to doing. It's not a goal. It's the standard, right? So like,
right. Yeah.
And everyone commits to doing, and so we work through that, and people usually see a big uplift in commissions. And then the final part of the marketing plan is the servicing part. A lot of people don't see service as marketing. And I think it's a big problem, because servicing actually is one of the most powerful form of marketing you can do, because if they have a great experience, now they become part of your sales force, and now they're giving you referrals. And the best form of marketing is referrals. So we really help them work through a unique way to service the client through gifting, automating that process. So we have a tool that on their birthday, and even like once a quarter, it'll automatically send them a gift on autopilot, so they don't have to think about it. And so that's the 3 pillars, so to speak: lead generation, lead conversion, and then the client experience that we really focus on from a marketing plan.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's maybe talk a little bit about AI, because, right now it obviously is a hot subject for everything, but just the capability, there's so much that you can do with it.
Yep.
What are some of the things that you're seeing you can use the AI for, and what are maybe some things that maybe you're not currently doing, but you see coming very soon?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have my head buried into this. Obviously, we've invested a lot of money. We bought a company out of California that was already ahead in this space. They were just like waiting for their opportunity, and when it hit, they were a benefit of the chat GPT craze because they were already doing AI with texting. So the basic things, which is really important, is a business owner needs to think of themselves like as like Iron Man is the analogy I like to give. So if you look at what made Iron Man great, obviously he had awesome technology, right? Like, what is Iron Man without his suit, right? So like, but what powered the suit? Well, Jarvis, right? And so Jarvis was AI, right? So Jarvis and Iron Man had conversations with Jarvis and would make decisions talking to Jarvis. And so I see, while everyone is having this conversation about how awesome Chat GPT is, I don't think the majority of people are thinking about it the right way. They're thinking about it as like, oh, let me give it a prompt once in a while to do this. And that's the wrong way to think about Chat GPT. So what we did is we have our developers partner with Chat GPT, and we developed an AI called Ren, which actually happens to be the name of the digital marketing company, Ren 360. And so its name is Ren. And Ren, it has we uploaded all of the best practices that we teach, train, and coach into it, in addition to it being connected to Chat GPT. And how we train people to use AI, particularly a tool like Chat GPT, is you have to think of it like a partner. And so, like, and I'll give you a couple examples. People will ask questions. They have these limiting these thoughts or these questions in their head, and they don't do something because they feel like they can't answer the question. And a real life case study for myself, I was having this massive mental block around because I have two different companies and I'm trying to figure out how to make them work together, and one's growing really fast. And like, I have a coach, but he wasn't available. He wasn't going to be around. I couldn't talk to him for a couple of weeks. And I'm just like racking my brain over this. And I'm like, let me ask my AI coach. And it was a complex question. It was about joint venture partnerships and getting two companies to work together and how to make it happen, grow both of them. And I asked the question, and the answer that it gave me was freaking unbelievable. I'm sitting here struggling for days, not getting sleep over this question that's hovering in my mind. And so I think the big win is you got to program, and I don't care what tool you use, you got to program it to be your co-CEO. And that's the first biggest win. And you do that by uploading your document, giving it your documents, giving it, I have a prompt that we give. I can give your audience the prompt if they want it. They can go to my website and get it later. But the prompt essentially triggers the AI to ask you the questions that it needs to know you, your goals, your business in and out. And therefore, when you go to ask it questions, it's going to give you the best answers possible because you gave it the right information. So, and there's hundreds of ways. Like, so for an example, I did a class and this lady's, we're doing a class on video marketing, how you got to start doing more short forms. And this lady's freaking out. She's like, I have such a fear of video, like getting myself on video and doing short form video, and I don't want to do it. She's like, how do I overcome my fear? And I'm like, that's a great question. Ask your assistant, ask your AI assistant. She goes, what do you mean? I'm like, just ask it. And so she just went to it. And she's like, how do I overcome my fear of video? And literally it gave her a step-by-step process, a legit process on how to overcome. She's like, this is amazing. I go, yes, that's what I'm trying to share with you. Because if you never asked it that question, you would have sat there and not done video for weeks or maybe years.
Yeah.
So that's the simple, the quickest wins, because like, you've probably heard the quote, like where we are at in our business and our life is a sum total decisions of the good, or sum total of the good and bad decisions we made.
Right. Yeah.
So the biggest wins that I'm getting and that my team's getting from a decision-making process and from a productivity-making process is our decision-making. We literally have our AI assistant pulled up in our meetings. So we don't make any assumptions anymore. We're in our meetings and we have it pulled up. So like if somebody's talking and they're like, I think this, we don't have personal opinions unless data supports them anymore.
Right.
That's our rule, right? Like, okay, great. Do you have data? No, you don't. Okay, let's ask the assistant. And we'll say, hey, what's the data behind, if we want to do this type of campaign, what's the best time of the day to go live on social media in this target market? And then it gives us blah, 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 like, or whatever a question that we're discussing in our meetings is. And so now it just gives us either confirmation, or we don't fight as much either. Like we don't fight we don't go back and forth as much about our opinions anymore, because like it's like, dude, like our opinions don't matter. It's like what is the data? And like
right.
And you know what's really cool, Keith? Hierarchy has almost gone away.
Really? Okay.
It's there when it needs to be, but we have meetings with each other because we even though like I'm the majority owner, whatever, I put myself on the same playing field when it comes to the decision making, because it's not about my opinion. It's about what are the facts, right? And so we try to make decisions on that. So my leadership and my authority doesn't have to come out as much. And it's the coolest environment where everyone's collaborating, and then we feel confident we have the assistant in there in that process. And I could keep going on and on about this one point, but I think that's the biggest win is having AI, having your own Jarvis. Is a huge simple win that pretty much anybody on the planet can do if they take the time to do it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I can see how you wouldn't necessarily have the hierarchy, and you wouldn't have some of the problems that a common meeting has, right? If somebody's ranked a little bit higher in the business and they've got an opinion on something, their opinion may not may not be the right the right way, and it may not have the facts to support it, but it's difficult for somebody who reports to that person to kind of challenge them. And I think if you can go to this third party, and it's not even it is just going to spit out, the data, then, it kind of takes all that away. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you hit the nail.
And I just think there's a ton that you can tap into, but it's just, how do you incorporate it into, your work day? And I think the more you can ask it, simple questions when you get stumped, is just great. So I think that's neat how you're using that.
Yeah, I think for most cultures, it's like anything else. It's reprogramming your mind or your habits on actually using it properly, and then learning. And that's what we're doing. Is we're teaching people how to use and prompt properly. And that's the other thing that's interesting that's happening with AI. There's a bunch of articles out there on it. But the people that are actually using AI as a form of interaction and communication, they're actually learning how to become better communicators. Because when you and I communicate, there's a lot of things open for interpretation with most communication styles. Some people are better communicators than others. And especially throughout the workforce, everyone has especially if you're newer in the workforce and you're not used to having to be a thorough communicator, your communication skills can be very different than others. And but when you're using AI, it's only as good as the questions, how you ask the question or the details that you give it. And so what I'm finding that's happening with myself and our team is we're asking better questions, and we're also communicating in more specific, pointed ways with each other to make sure we understand each other, and we've developed that habit because of how we have to use our AI to make it work. So we're actually becoming better communicators with each other, which is really interesting.
It is interesting. It kind of falls in line with, if you want a better result or you want a better answer, you ask a better question, right?
Yeah,
So,
yes.
now you're just learning how you can kind of fine tune and dial in the question to the AI to get the answer that you're looking for or get the correct answer.
Yes.
So.
To answer the second part of your question, what's coming, I think people are aware of, but people have no idea the magnitude of it, is there's an AI tool for almost anything. I'll just go through some things that we're doing. My AI does a better job than my CFO.
Really?
Yeah, I give it all my data and it gives me better feedback than my CFO does. The AI will come up with, our AI tool that we use for our marketing ads comes up with better marketing ads than our marketing assistants do.
Wow.
The AI, there's something here, but there's also limitations that it still has too. So, but there's like if I go through every area of my company, AI has probably just this past 6 months alone either saved me or made me $1 million using AI. And we have 75 employees, so like I'm not like a giant company. But like,
yeah,
people have no idea what, like most people are just scratching the surface. Like, give you one outside of the world, I'm using an AI tool to do my grocery shopping.
Okay.
So you go in there, it's linked up to Instacart. What it does is you type in your menu, it goes out there, and the AI does all of the work, pops it in an Instacart, and then the food's delivered to you.
That's awesome.
So there's there's so many ways that AI is changing things, and it's just scratching the surface on what it's going to do. I think from a business standpoint, the next big thing is conversational AI. So Google is working really hard at it. We're using it to make outbound phone calls. We're using it for customer service, and but we've gotten our AI agent out producing our top outbound caller.
Wow. Okay.
So
the ones I've heard so far have been kind of like there's just this awkward pause, like it's waiting to hear.
Yes.
So there's a little, if they could tighten that up just a little bit, then, you'd be like, wow, this is another person on the other end.
Yeah. But, and what's interesting is,
I'm sure it's not going to be far.
Yeah. And we're working, you gotta know how to script it the right way to eliminate those, eliminate those pauses. A lot of it's advanced scripting or advanced coding. One of the things we found is for every idiosyncrasy that it might have, we're authentic. We actually just say, it opens up a phone call saying, hey, I'm a digital marketing assistant. So we don't hide, we're not hiding anything or like trying to pretend like it's a human being when it's not.
No, that's good. I think
so that helps.
Makes a lot of sense.
That helps things, the authenticity of it. But the other thing is, like, for every issue that it has, I have 7 more issues with my inside sales agents. They don't show up to work. They're sick.
Right.
They don't handle the objection the right way. Like, I can go down the list of, they're sleeping with another person in the office. Like, just like, like all this stuff that, like, all the, what I'm talking about. So it's like, and so like, and that's what's interesting about it is like, the AI will work on a Saturday without overtime.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what we found. And you're right. It's not, there's still a long ways to go with the technology. But like, for example, we used to come up with an empty calendar on Mondays, and now we'll have 20, 30 appointments in the calendar on a Monday because it was calling all Saturday.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's incredible, actually.
So that's what we're doing for our clients too. We're offering that service,
teaching how to set up. Yeah, how to set up all those different things. Why don't we maybe go to how people can find out more about you? You'd mentioned those I forget what you referred to them as, prompts or something that you'd share with the audience. But yeah, maybe if, how they can find out more about you if they want to get some coaching from you,
Sure.
any of that.
Yeah. So if you go to just IsaiahColton.com, www.isaiahcolton.com, and it'll take you to my website. And there's a AI, it's called AI Unleashed newsletter. So if you sign up to that newsletter, you'll start getting a whole bunch of awesome content to stay at the cutting edge of what's happening in AI. Plus, just general, what I call business and life hacks, just to be more productivity, do things in less time, making sure that we're working smarter, not harder, improving our quality of life. All that good stuff is incorporated in the newsletter. It's a free newsletter, so it's a phenomenal resource. I'd recommend people start there, and then when they sign up for the newsletter, the first thing that goes out is my Artificial Intelligence Unleashed ebook. And
oh, cool.
The ebook, so they'll get that when they sign up to the newsletter, and it's kind of like a crash course on prompting, and there's over 150 different ways to use, whatever your favorite, AI chat tool is to help you with your business. So I think that'd be the best thing. And then also it lists out all of our different companies underneath our portfolio. We have 4 different companies, and so they can check them out. And I think that'd be the best place to go.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. This has been a really interesting episode for sure. Just I know we kind of dove into a bunch of different topics, but I think it was good. So I appreciate your time, appreciate you being on. I do have 2 questions that I ask every guest that wanted to ask you as well. And number 1 would be, if you were to help somebody out, give them advice that's just starting in their investment journey, what advice would that be?
Get really good at saving money and managing your money. Not to save it, to keep it in the bank account, but whether it's investors or whether you're starting up a business, whatever it may be, I think people have in their mind, if they start making more money, that all of a sudden they're going to be good managing their money. And what I found, I think, why I've been able to do a lot of what I've been able to do is because I was taught really good habits of making sure I don't live above my means, and I invest back into my business constantly. And that also helped me even when I was doing a lot of investing, and I'm starting to get back into investment properties now. But if I look back on it, I would never have been able to do anything that I was able to do if I didn't know how to manage my money right. So like, I think it's like the boring topics, but like, it's what I find is so interesting, Keith, about business and investing. The very reason why we're doing the things what we want to do is so we can have financial freedom. But then if we don't have the basic core set skills to ever get to the financial freedom, it's like chasing a rabbit, right? So it's like
for sure. Yeah. No, I agree. It's kind of why those, you hear the lottery winners that, become broke a couple years later. It's not that they didn't have money. I mean, winning the lottery is a huge advantage, but if you don't if you haven't built the skill set, of how to manage money, you're going to blow right through it.
Yeah. I can tell you horror story after horror story of my friends who are, in my circle, that they had really good real estate portfolios, but they did not manage them well financially. And eventually they came crashing down. And so that's why I think that's my first go-to is, just getting really good at having a financial system that you can learn from a mentor that's proven track record, and hell or high water, you do the best you can to stick to those financial principles.
That's great advice. And then one other one would just be, and I ask this for the audience, but I ask it for myself as well. Any book recommendation. Doesn't have to be necessarily investing or real estate related, but just something that you've read recently that's been impactful.
Yeah. A big one for me that I read recently is a book called Principles by Ray Dalio. You probably heard of it, but it's I like it because it's practical information that I think anybody on the planet can use. but it also helps you get in the world of Ray's brain.
Right.
And you guys don't know who Ray Dalio is. He's the number one, I think it was the number one hedge fund, investor in the world at one point, or I don't remember his exact stats, but he's a financial genius. And,
sure.
And he's a very humble guy. And he's just got so much wisdom, so much wisdom in that book called Principles. And it's got life and business principles. So I really enjoy that one. And literally I've gone through that book probably 10 times. How I read books is I don't read a large volume of books. What I do is I find ones that I believe that are going to be impactful, and I read them over and over and over.
Yeah.
If somebody's just starting a business, or you're trying to go from zero to $1 million, and you want to do it the right way. Alex Ramosi just put a book out. He has 2 books out. It's $100 million offers and $100 million lead gen. And
yeah, those are good.
Those 2 books are some of the better written books on those topics. He does a good job of taking complicated topics and keeping them simple enough that people can take action on. And so I think that, going back to my story, why we've been so successful is because our offer, and he does a great job breaking that down, that science of coming up with an irresistible offer. He's phenomenal at that. So those would be just those are the 2 recent ones that I've read, is those 2 books. So
yeah, those are good. I've read those as well. And you're right. He does craft just an amazing offer. And really talks and breaks down how to do that. So, well, that's great. All right, Isaiah, we're running a little bit long on time, so I'm going to call it a show, but I've really enjoyed having you on, and just appreciate you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for an opportunity to be on the podcast and everything you do for the investment community. God knows that good at, what you're doing is life-changing for the people that take advantage of it and choose to be invest in real estate. So, I'm hoping that the audience got something out of this today.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
Being that you're still here, I trust you found value in this episode. I personally wish I would have known these guests and strategies when I started my wealth creation journey. Go to wealthflow.capital to subscribe to our newsletter. And as a free gift, we will send you our quarterly market report and the top 10 things to look for in an investment opportunity. Take a minute to give our show a rating and review. Help us reach 1 million professionals by subscribing and sharing this episode with someone you know who could also find value in it.